It's that time of the month again. We've got gem rate grading data from PSA, Beckett, CSG, CGC, SGC, too many acronyms, all the companies, and we're also going to talk about Rare Edition quickly. I just want to throw in a quick update about Rare Edition. I'm going to talk about kind of some of the numbers, but then also some of my thoughts around each company and which ones might be in a little bit of trouble. Stick around. Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. Another day, another card collectibles video. Thank you very much for joining me here today. If you're new here, you're looking for just about daily sports cards, collectible style content, average entertainment at best, then you have come to the right place. We will keep it all coming for you. Also connect with me on IG at SportsCardDad. It's where I share a lot of my pickups, the reels, all the stuff. So check me out there. Also on Twitter, the SportsCardDad. All right, guys, every month, Ryan at gemrate.com, he puts together this kind of monthly report. He actually does it daily and weekly, but because a lot of the data is based on when stuff actually hits the pop report, if you're following it daily and weekly, it can be kind of up and down. The monthly report gives you kind of more of a full viewpoint on what's going on. So shout out to the Lord's work being done by Ryan at gemrate.com. Definitely check out the site. All right, let's dig into some of these numbers. So PSA kind of did what PSA has been doing. They're right over 1 million cards, 1.047 million cards, slightly less than last month, but really not much of a change. And kind of the breakdown goes as such. It's about 700,000 sports cards to about 300,000 TCG cards. And that's been consistent. They've been grading a ton of TCG non-sports cards. We're going to talk about why I think that could be a problem for some of the other grading companies. All right, CSG CGC came in at a strong 135,000 cards, 36,000 sports cards, 99,000 TCG cards. That's up 49% from where they were last month. SGC up 17% at 81,000 cards, 4,000 of those being TCG. Beckett was in at 52,000 cards, 20,000 of them, almost half, coming in as TCG cards. That's an 18% drop for Beckett. So what do we think about all this? What does it mean? Well, for PSA, I think that this is the last of the backlog stuff. And I think it's just going back to not even just the stuff from 2 years ago, but even just early 2022 stuff. I think that we're finally shed all of the old business, and now we are to kind of the national specials and that sort of stuff. And that's where I think that next month, November, December, are going to be the really telling ones, because that's going to really represent a lot of this kind of new business with price drops and all that coming back and hitting for PSA. I anticipate that they will be less than 1 million cards for November, December. I think it's going to be, I'm going to guess that it's in the 700, 800,000 cards total, which is a pretty significant drop. Still a ton of cards, but they did just lower pricing again down to $15 for their bulk rate. And I'm sure if they need to, they will continue to move that price down. They have capacity. They have spent a lot of money building out their infrastructure. And now really they've got to figure out how are they going to keep everybody busy. And if it means they've got to drop it all the way down to whatever, then I'm sure they'll probably do that. Keep in mind that right at the beginning of the pandemic, bulk rate for PSA was $8. Wow. So while $15 seems like an amazingly low price, it's still double basically what it was going back to 2020. Now, will it ever get back to $8 again? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I kind of predict, along with a lot of other people, I don't think this is some sort of like rocket science, stuff, but I do think that they will get to $10 on that bulk rate. They have their estimated turnaround at 120 calendar days, so about 4 months, which frankly, if you compare that to where PSA has been, people waited literally 2 years for cards. 4 months is a lightning fast turnaround time for them. And people would be probably happy waiting on a lot of cards 4 months. If it was 3-4 months, they're probably fine with that. So I see them just continuously lowering prices to fit whatever they need it to be. All right, SGC, a company that about 3 weeks ago dropped their prices for the first time in 18 months. And it was one that everybody was kind of waiting for. So that's 3 weeks ago. So this data is taking into account some of that, but not really. I would say it's probably taking taking into account about 20 out of the 31 days in October. So again, for SGC, next month is really going to be the telling one. And I think the month after that, December. I assume there's probably a little bit of a slowdown in December with the holidays and everything. Probably not as much money being spent on grading in December historically. I guess I could be wrong on that. But I think if we look at next month for SGC, I anticipate that the numbers will be higher than the 81,000 that we see today. I do follow GemRates, kind of their daily and their weekly for SGC. They are a channel sponsor. So for those that are new here, I am biased towards SGC. I'm a fanboy of SGC, but honestly, I just believe all these grading companies offer something. So it's not as if there's one that's way better than the others. I think there's pros and cons to each. But when we're talking about SGC, I should all let you know that I am certainly biased. They are kind of my grading company of choice. But I'm also going to give a critique on something that they need to improve on. So SGC, I think that their numbers are going to be 81,000, more than 81,000, because the price change will have been in full effect. So we'll get that. Honestly, I think it's going to be about 100,000, maybe a little bit north of 100,000, but we'll see. I'm guessing. Obviously, I'm speculating. Where SGC's really, I think, got to dig in and make some ground is TCG stuff. I've been saying it for months. PSAs, they're like 30% of their business is TCG cards. It's non-sports. People that watch this channel are mostly sports cards. So when they see 1 million cards, PSA did 1 million cards, I think they automatically think that that's 1 million sports cards that they've been grading. And I asked Ryan, a few weeks ago, if he could switch that around to show in his report the TCG side and the sports side, break that off so that people are aware of the differences between the two, because the TCG stuff makes up a significant part of PSA's business. It makes up a really small part, a really, really small part of SGC. Even Beckett has graded 20,000 cards for TCG. And look, Pokemon, just Pokemon, not Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic, they've printed 9 billion cards between like 2021 and 2022. I don't care what grading company you are, that should really be a huge focus. SGC already has amazing brand recognition in the sports card space. And from what Pete has said in interviews when we've talked to him, is that they have a lot of people at the company that are all in on Pokemon and TCG and are really into that stuff. So that just seems to be the next step. If SGC is looking at growth potential, you can only lower prices and play the price game as much as you can, but TCG is where they have got to really put a foothold. They've got to get more TCG business if that is going to be a focus of theirs. Obviously, every company is going to have their own strategy, but that just seems like an obvious one for them to be able to really kind of up their numbers if they do, have capacity for it and want that type of business. Now, CSG, why would they, be vulnerable right now? You look at these numbers, they're way up. They're having a grand old time. And frankly, I will say CSG and CGC have great cases. I buy their cards on the secondary market. I really like their cases. I like their labels. I collect CGC comic books. So there's not a knock at all against this company. But where I see some vulnerability is they did just say that they're going to keep the special pricing that they had through the end of the year. Frankly, I feel like they had to do that because what happened was PSA and SGC lowered their prices as well as Beckett. Beckett brought their pricing down as well. And it just put immense pressure on CSG. They were actually getting a pretty decent amount of sports cards and really just haven't seen that. It's gone by the wayside a little bit. It's not to say they're not grading sports cards, but they just have so much competition between the other three companies now bringing pricing down, to meet them. And now it's tough. It's really tough. So their business, if you look at their numbers breakdown, it's heavily reliant on TCG. 99,000 cards is what they did in October, which is a lot. And again, there's probably enough TCG non-sports to go around. But PSA, I have to assume, is going there. When they lowered their price to 18, they also lowered their TCG price to 15. This is before they switched their price to 15. I could totally see them bringing their TCG price down to $10 or something, because you saw how they got ahead of, they went ahead and lowered their TCG price before they lowered their sports card price, and they can really just broaden out their market share. So if you are a company that is heavily reliant on TCG cards, that's where actually price point makes a difference. Because if they say, hey, we're going to do TCG for $8 a card, people that are sending to both are going to be like, all right, well, we're going to PSA. It's different on the sports card side because there's brand loyalty for the other companies that CSG just doesn't have yet because they're the newcomer. When you look at SGC, they've been around for 20 plus years. They have a huge foothold in the vintage space. Even if everybody was like, we're not doing any of our modern business with SGC anymore, we're just doing vintage. That's basically what SGC did for a very long time. They've just made huge inroads on the modern, ultra-modern space over the last 18 months, 2 years. But CSG doesn't have that. They don't have that brand loyalty on the sports side yet. And so that's where there's some vulnerability. If they're kind of pushed down, if the CSG side is pushed down because of pricing and they're just not getting those submissions, of course, they're totally fine. This is a company that's backed by Blackstone. They've got money. They're not going under, but the point is that they're going to have to figure out some creative ways to boost that CSG side, especially if the CGC side is getting price pressure from PSA and some of the other companies. Beckett, how are they vulnerable? How could they be in trouble? Well, this is the big brand name that has just been they've gone by the wayside, really. And the thing that really is too bad is their communications department just really kind of let this company down over the last couple of years. All the other companies, really, if you're looking at the big four, they all adapted. And Beckett has, adapted over the last 6 months, 9 months. They've got a new CEO. They're bringing in technology, but they just have so much catch up to go. And now they didn't get out in front of a lot of this stuff. And it's just now they're just playing big time catch up. I mean, they've got 52,000 cards that they graded, 20,000 are TCG. And I know that they're rebranding. They're kind of in rebuild mode, kind of in the same vein as a NFL football team or whatever, but they have a massive brand name. It's like being the Dallas Cowboys in rebuild mode, so they've got that. They're hanging on to that, but man, they have really got to find ways to make inroads, get creative, and figure out how to maintain. I know they acquired VHS DNA and they're looking at other collectibles markets, and that's fine, but this company, Beckett, was built on sports cards. It was built on, that's their meat and potatoes. So while I think it's cool that they are trying to branch out and have other offerings, that's great. But man, you've got such an opportunity there. It would be really too bad, especially because, look, they have a nice case. Even at the National, when they had brought out like the new label, but then said, oh, that's not our new label, I actually didn't mind it. The label itself, it's actually the logo. The logo, the new logo, I think is cool. So if they just had the exact same label, but it's got the new logo on it, same case, I mean, I thought it actually looked pretty decent. I think that their case in general is pretty popular. It's sturdy. There's a lot of good things there. Hopefully that new leadership can kind of turn things around. It's just a much more competitive space than it was before when Beckett was competing with PSA. Now SGC and CSG are really putting heat on where Beckett didn't have to compete against other big companies like they are now. So it's time to get real. It's kind of like that saying, what are the kids saying these days? You F around and find out. Beckett kind of did that. They F around and found out, and now they got to figure out how to survive and pick this thing up. All right, last we're going to talk about Rare Edition. This is a company that I met at the Mint Collective going back to March of last year. This is what a Rare Edition slab looks like. A lot of people call this like the Apple iPhone slab for sports cards. It's massive. This is a type of slab like if you're looking to crack and resub, this is not it. This is the slab you get when you have like a PC card to where like you need it to survive like the nuclear blast, the zombie apocalypse, and the alien invasion. This is the one. They just announced that they are going to do PC slabs. And this is something that I had asked them about when I was there, is because the problem is that the big four really have grading that is trusted. And so when you're a new company coming in, it's like, all right, who are your graders? What are their experience? Can anybody grade a card? And that's where they run into problems. The hobby's not going to just accept a brand new company and the grades that they give out. That's where the big four really, and CSG hired away Beckett people. That's why they have that trust, is because they hired away Beckett graders, top Beckett graders, and that's how they have that trust. And I think without that, the newer companies are just going to struggle. So Rare Edition said, hey, okay, we're going to come out with a PC option. And again, this is something that I suggested to them of like, hey, why, forget about the grading. You guys have an awesome product and it's like indestructible, but it's the grading part where people are going to be like, I don't really, but a PC card, just kind of getting it thrown in and protected, that could actually be pretty cool. Well, they just rolled that out. But the problem is that I'm looking at the site, unless I'm missing something, it looks like it's a $49 fee to put your card in one of these indestructible tanks, which again, love the slab, but when you see grading prices going down on the major companies down to $15 and maybe even lower in the future, that's tough, man. That's tough. And it's supposed to be kind of a luxury product, a rare edition. It comes in like a special box with a bag, and that is cool for sure. But I just think most of the hobby, now granted, there's probably a niche, fan set that's going to go for these, especially for PC cards. And again, you're not cracking it out. This is something where it's like, I need this thing to be protected. If it falls in the ocean, it's fine. This is a slab for that. So if it's a PC card and you're not really a grading person, you're like, you know what? I just want my cards raw, but I want it to be protected. And I've got a Honus Wagner or something. I don't know, but I don't believe in grading companies. Then this is a pretty cool option. But again, $49, that starting rate. If anyone from Rare Edition watches, if this price point moves downward, it starts to become more viable. And who knows, maybe they're getting inundated at $49. But for me, I just feel like that is a really high price point for a PC card. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts on the grading space down below. What do you think about this data? Does it mean anything to you? Are there companies that you're like, wow, that actually is pretty cool? Other companies you're like, man, I hope that they pick it up. Or companies that are like, that's way too much. They're going to be falling by the wayside. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.